One of the things that happens when we get older, and I think this is a thing that's especially pervasive in the world now because of the fact that we're less well-read than we've ever been. We're so poorly read, in fact, that I think what I just said isn't even, I don't even think that's how someone who is well-read would formulate that sentence, because I'm not that well-read. We used to read the newspaper. We just don't anymore. Reading was more part of our lives. We were more mature by probably most metrics, but let's just go off of that one. We used to be able to read more. We used to be able to read better at a higher level of proficiency. People would read the news. People were grown-ups. People understood that they had responsibilities when they became an adult that they had to fulfill, and they wouldn't try to keep living out these weird like things from their childhood. I think it happens when you're not really comfortable, I guess, with what's going on in the world. Is you try to look to the past, things that you remember from your youth that made you comfortable. And that's what we're seeing now in Italian football. we're seeing it. We're seeing it with grown adults who are lobbying for crazy things because they make them feel good and they remind them of the past. Alessandro Del Piero is being rumored to be in the running to become the president of the FIGC, the Italian Football Federation. And this is being lauded like it's a good idea because, he's Del Piero after all. There was that one time once when for a month he was bald and he scored a goal against Germany and he scored a penalty and we won the World Cup. Everyone loves Del Piero. Right? Bro, it's Del Piero. I remember him from my youth. Bro, it's Del Piero. I remember him from when I was, a football fan for 20 years and he was a mainstay. Yeah, let's put him as the face of the Italian Football Federation because I like him. He's a name I recognize. It's a face I'm familiar with. No. He's been running a restaurant in Los Angeles for the past couple of years. Don't do it to him. He should be running a restaurant. Don't take a figure that is universally loved and make of him an administrator in sport. But you're going to make him a bureaucrat? You're going to make Alessandro Del Piero a bureaucrat? You're going to take this guy that everyone looks at and says, beautiful. Women say, look at that. It's Del Piero. Remember that head of hair? What a man. He's still with the same wife. That's a great guy right there. That's a man of honor. Men watch him on CBS now. He does Champions League coverage, wears big frames. He's transitioned into the more global football mainstream. He was already a huge name, but there were a lot of big players that have careers and then just go disappear. And you forget about them. There's value in, having stuck around and remained kind of relevant like Del Piero has. It's enabled him to, continue to be a figure that people enjoy watching, even though it's not through his play. They still enjoy watching him. They watch his coverage and they enjoy it. It's fun. He wears big frames. He's a style god now. Just let him be that. Granted, I'm hearing it now. Having a guy wear those huge frames represent the Italian Football Federation it'd be good for the brand, of Italy, maybe in some way. Who's that? That's the Italian Football Federation president. He's wearing a double-breasted suit and big blue frame glasses. All right, I get it. That makes sense on some level. But we're there's this thought that the Football Federation of Italy is all fucked up because, we missed 2 World Cups in a row, and there's, a commonly held idea that Italian clubs are, run by dinosaurs, which is partially true. Many of them are. And if they're not run by dinosaurs, they're run as if they were, in that the infrastructure is not great. But the thinking here is what? I don't get it. We bring in Del Piero, a guy who's got like very little managerial experience, if any. I literally think he's run a restaurant and that's it. I don't think he's worked at Juventus at all, unless I'm mistaken. If he has, it hasn't been in any crazy role that's enabled him to, occupy enough time that it's been, I don't know, just a newfound career for him. I literally think if he was working for Juve, it might have been freelance. I could be wrong. I don't know. But he has no managerial experience. So what? We think that we're going to bring in Del Piero, and because he scored a goal against Jens Lehmann in 2006, and because he played for Juventus for 20 years, and because Real Madrid fans gave him a standing ovation in 2008 when he was 34 years old, we think that he's going to make stadiums in Italy better. We think that all of a sudden, every team in Italy is going to start calling up 17-year-old prospects, and they're all going to start scoring goals immediately, and we're going to be the new France, Spain 2.0, where it's just like a youth factory, where, by fucking 25 years old, if you're not still playing at the top of your game, you're out because we got new guys coming in. Is that what we think is going to happen if Del Piero becomes the FIGC president, the FIGC president? Is that what we expect? It's like, grow up. Grow up. Don't watch your heroes take on roles that they'll fail in. The FIGC president is not a role that you hold for a lifetime. It could happen, but it's suicide. It's career suicide. It's PR suicide. Ask Paolo Maldini what happened. Ask Paolo Maldini what happened when he took over at Milan a couple years ago. He was out within a couple years. And actually, he's not even the best example of a legend, of the game who actually played, who everyone loves, taking on an administrative job and kind of fucking up his reputation, because Maldini actually got out kind of scot-free. He, I think, resigned because he didn't like where management was at. Let's take Andrea Pirlo as an example. How do you like that? Everyone wanted Andrea Pirlo as a coach for a little while. Everyone thought when he was playing, man, he sees the game so well. He'll be a great coach. And now he got fired from Sampdoria this year in Serie B. And now what? Is he going to go back to Turkey? By the way, that's fine. It doesn't take away from who he is as a player. But David Beckham has managed it great. David Beckham has stayed the fuck out of the game. He owns a club. It's in the fourth tier. He owns it with his buddies. He owns it with Neville and Scholes and Butts or whoever. He owns it with guys from the class of 92, and that's it. That's his only involvement in football. He owns two clubs. I fucking forgot about the big one, and he owns Inter Miami. But that's great. He's a figurehead. But his money did the talking. He's not the guy making the decisions. If he is making decisions and he's involved at all in the management, it's behind the scenes. No one knows what calls he's actually making. That's perfect. It's an ambassadorial role. When you're a good player, you stay as an ambassador, like Pele did. Maradona coached Argentina. It was fun because it was Maradona. But Maradona I'll bet you if Maradona just didn't even coach, there's a chance he could still be alive. I don't actually. That's my guess. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I just feel like I feel like we could have got another 10, 20 years out of Maradona. And by the way, this is not a popular thing to say. I'm not going to dance on his grave 4 years after he died, just the other day. But not for nothing. Him dying was probably better for the legacy, because now he's immortal in Naples and Argentina, and that was always going to be the case. He would have been a living god, kind of, in terms of the images of him as a deity being up on walls and murals and shit. But now that he's dead, it's really, we've talked about this a bunch on the pod, but now that he's dead, it's been allowed to really become more acceptable, I think. So perhaps the best thing that, could have happened to Maradona for his legacy was that he die before he fuck it up anymore. But, look, and to be fair, if Maradona had actually become an ambassador to the game and kind of stayed out on the sidelines, he might have been less iconic than he is now, because he had all those crazy moments of managing clubs and fucking. I think he was managing a club in what's that region in Mexico where the drug cartels are? Anyway, whatever. He had a few fun managerial roles. I think the time at Argentina was a little chaotic, but you just don't expect anything out of this. Make no mistake, Del Piero will win the vote, probably. I don't know what his policy will be, what he'll be, campaigning on. He'll win the vote, probably. It'd be really funny if he just got, ousted by a lawyer. Like that would be, and then people are going to come out and say this is a damning statement on Italian football that, we're all run by dinosaurs and we want suits to run it. And it's like, no, you want a lawyer to run the Italian Football Federation. You want it to be a square. You want it to be a square who you don't give a fuck about, who you can hold the feet to the fire of when it all goes wrong, if it all goes wrong. It's not like Del Piero's going to, come into the role and all of a sudden he's going to start like, you think he's going to start like imposing tariffs like fucking Trump? He's going to fucking wave some weird wand where now, okay, well, we have a protectionist policy now where, I don't know, there have to be a certain number of U20 or U19 players in every first team. It's odd. It's not probably going to happen. It's not because you like the guy that's the president that anything productive actually happens. I'd love to be proven wrong. I'm not going to bat for, Gabriele Gravina here, but like, I'm starting to wonder if it even really matters who the president is. Like, what will be, will be. Like, the clubs are going to develop whoever they're going to develop. They all have their own systems. And in Italy, systematically, there's a thing in place whereby, like, clubs are always going to develop good, competent professionals who are able to play at, top levels pretty much, in a lot of leagues in Europe. I don't know how much policy, the president of the FIGC could put in place that would incentivize more, youth development. It's a coaching issue. It's a cultural issue. You can't really shift the culture of how clubs, are run in the day-to-day. So, like it's a weird thing. But people see Del Piero and they say, my youth. I remember him from when I got married in 94. I remember Del Piero scored in the Champions League final and won the, I don't actually know if he scored in the Champions League final that they won in the 90s. I don't think he did. Doesn't really even matter. The point is people associate him with positive things, positive memories, and it's like, grow the fuck up. Grow the fuck up. The guy who should run this organization is probably a guy who can get his hands a little dirty. Do you really want Alessandro Del Piero to have to, to be at the center of some kind of like betting scandal? You really want Alessandro Del Piero to have to see how the sausage is made and have to be the guy to maybe like shred papers? You want Del Piero? You want to hate him for not like doing his fiduciary duty, okay, to the organization and by extension the country? No, you want some guy you don't care about who you could hang in the public square when it doesn't go well. If the team doesn't perform well, if the top level, if the top national side doesn't perform well, the senior team bombs out of another World Cup qualifying campaign, you hold that guy to the fire and we, execute him by firing squad. We're not going to do that with Del Piero. Why torture ourselves? It's masochistic to want to do it with Del Piero, to even expose ourselves to the risk of having to critique him. By the way, the look of having a guy who's like a career Juventino there is not going to be good. It's not going to be good because you can't have a partisan guy run the Italian Football Federation. As a Juve fan, personally, I would like for him to just be partisan to Juve and stay at Juve. Be in a managerial role at Juve if you really have the itch to get involved in the game on the administrative side. It's really strange to have a guy that was like a legend for a club. As far as I'm aware, I don't know that that's ever happened in Italy. That a guy who's a player, who's a legend for a club, who's very clearly partisan toward a team, is now made to kind of operate, in an unbiased fashion. It's kind of challenging. By the way, every guy who's managed the Italian Football Federation had a favorite team growing up, and they're partisan, but we don't know about it. It's not in our face. It's not. Listen, I'll happily take like favorable refereeing, fucking decisions or whatever. I'll happily take favorable refereeing appointments that would benefit my club. It's not good for the league. I'd rather not have to deal with these accusations, around the game. It's not good for other fans. I mean, because now they have a scapegoat. Anytime they think something happens that goes against their side, that benefits, the narrative of the fact that the guy who runs this whole shtick is a Juve guy, and it's like the mafia. It's not a good idea. You want the guy running the organization to like a team and have favorites in private. You want to not have to, look at it dead in the eye. You want to be able to live with the cognitive dissonance of it. You don't want to be able to fucking say beyond a reasonable doubt, yeah, this guy has favorites. Look, there he is scoring for them. for this team, sticking his tongue out and making a heart to the fans. It's not it's not a good look. It shouldn't be him. You almost shouldn't even be allowed to run if you've played before. You really shouldn't. You can make that case. So, you know, because here's the thing. Say Del Piero comes into the role, and then, you know, I'm not suggesting for you that it's a role with as much, you know, gravitas as the U.S. presidency. But let's say, okay, let's say Del Piero is Donald Trump, okay? Let's actually say he's J.D. Vance here because Trump has already been in office. So when he comes back into the office, the briefings aren't going to be the same, all right? Let's say J.D. Vance, a guy who's never been in the fucking Oval Office before. He's going to be the vice president of the United States. He's the vice president-elect. He'll be, you know, coming into power on January 20th, 21st, whenever the fuck it is. Okay, so imagine J.D. Vance. Alessandro Del Piero, okay? Same level here. J.D. Vance gets sat down by the CIA and they show him, you know, what's that old Bill Hicks joke? I think it was Bill Hicks. They show you the alternative angle. They show you an alternative angle of when JFK got shot that shows that we shot Kennedy. It's like they do that with Del Piero. They sit him down and they say, all right, listen, here's the deal. The mafia owns this whole organization. The reason why no stadiums are getting built is because we're completely beholden to these motherfuckers. Now that you know this, go in peace. Go in peace. Take it to your grave. By the way, we have a bunch of files. I don't know what you want to do about it. Do you want to be the truther who kind of, you know, topples this whole organization like your fiduciary duty says you should do? Or do you do, by the way, the better thing and shred the papers and let it go away quietly to not rock the boat? What do you do, Del Piero? What do you do? Oh, okay, you shred the papers? Good boy. Now say we find out down the line. Now we got to fucking, you know, hang him. We got to hang him by his feet. It's not good. It's not a good move. And the only reason there's a chance it happens is because people look back on the past, you know, with when people look back retrospectively, they look at it with rose-tinted lenses. You know, people look back at shit with rose-tinted lenses and say, I'm familiar with that. It makes me happy. It's the reason why Claudio Ranieri's back at Roma, by the way. I mean, those cowards, the Friedkins are real. I mean, they fucking, what a crazy bed they've made that they have to sleep in now. Dan Friedkin and his son, the guys who own Roma, who a couple of weeks ago fired Daniele De Rossi weeks into the season, despite having only lost one match at that point. A little recap of what happened, in case you're out of the loop. Daniele De Rossi gets fired. I come out on the pod and say, the bitch who fired him is not going to survive. 2 weeks later, she's out of a job. She's fled back to Greece, okay? She fled to fucking Greece. Like the head of the Albanian government when Italy started that protectorate there in 1939 and he fled to wherever the fuck he fled. She fled the country. She fled Rome. She went back to Greece. And they hired Ivan Juric, which was a weird call. You know, probably not necessarily a guy you'd even want in that role anyway, but certainly not, you know, without a preseason. And naturally, it doesn't go well. The players who, you know, the firing of De Rossi didn't go over well with are not happy. They don't buy into Juric. And they fire him recently. Now what? What now? Claudio Ranieri, of course. He's Roman. He's old. He's retired. Everyone loves him. Let the man stay retired. Why are you pulling Claudio Ranieri out of retirement? To appease your fucking fans? To appease the bloodthirsty Roman public? You gutless fucks. You cocksuckers. Bringing this old man out of retirement, dragging him. Dan Friedkin is like Jill Biden. He's like Jill Biden trying to get Joe to run for office. Even though he wants nothing more than to retire. Let him be. Leave the man in peace. He's been in government for 50 fucking years. Let him go. What are you worried is going to happen? What are you worried is going to happen, Joe Biden? That Trump's going to win and then Hunter's going to get fucking prosecuted? That's not... What are you, crazy? That doesn't happen. Trump's not going to prosecute Hunter Biden. What are we, a banana republic where we fucking prosecute... political opponents? No, this is a democracy. We give you a pass if your father was running the government. It's bad for business if we start going after the families of presidents. I know that's a warped thing to say, but no. I mean that. We're not a banana republic. We give a pass to people who commit crimes who are related to officials. It's good for the fabric of society. Jill Biden. Like, what's Dan Friedkin afraid is going to happen if he fucking doesn't appoint a guy like... What's he afraid is going to happen if we bring... I'm serious here. What if they brought Daniele De Rossi back? Yeah, just like the fucking American people have voted to bring Trump back. That's what they're doing here. You had Ivan Juric. It didn't work, okay? You could keep another old fuck. You could bring Joe Biden, fucking Claudio Ranieri back. This old guy who doesn't really want to be, in charge anymore. But we're going to, we're going to dangle a few shiny things in front of him and say, hey, come back, We're basically, the shiny things in this case are not monetary. They're, emotional manipulation. So in the case of Joe, hey Joe, we're going after Hunty. We're going after whatever the fuck his nickname is. I don't know. We're going after H-Dog. We're going after Hunter. We're going after your son. If you don't run again, you're in real trouble. There's a chance we could prosecute you, your son. Likewise, Claudio Ranieri. Hey, listen, club's down bad. We need to buy a lot of good favor from the fans. You want to come back? And he's a nice guy. So he said, yes, let the man drink wine in the vineyards. Let him be. Let him the fuck be. Let Daniele De Rossi come back. Make Roma great again. Just like Trump. It's what the people voted for. It's what the fucking people voted for. It was a corrupt system where they stole the coaching position from the rightful owner of the title of coach and appointed someone unpopular through undemocratic means. It's not a commentary on anything other than the Roma coaching carousel. That's what that's a commentary on. Nothing else. I mean, there's a rumor going around now that Friedkin might bring not only De Rossi back, but bring Francesco Totti back. Just whatever it takes to get these fucking people to relax. And if we're resorting to nostalgia, that's not good. That's not a good move. Francesco Totti actually did work at Roma for a little while, and he resigned because he felt that the entire role was just to be, an ambassador. He felt it was too ambassadorial, and he felt it was too symbolic. He felt he had no actual function, so he left. That's noble. But here's the thing. Francesco Totti's a moron. You don't actually want him making decisions of any kind. 3 weeks ago, Francesco Totti was coming back and he was going to play. He was going to play for a Serie A club is what the rumors were saying. If you believe IFTV and the like and whatever. I don't even know if it was reported in by proper news sources in Italy. It might have just been like a weird rumor that was circulating. Francesco Totti was coming back at 48 years old. He was going to play. He needed a couple months to get fit. No, but now he's coming back at Roma because Claudio Ranieri's back. It's like, stop trying to create these narratives that guys who are fat now are coming back. He's fat and he's stupid. He's not managing anything and he's not playing anymore. And that's fine. Let him be. Let him be. Let him eat artichokes in Trastevere. Let him be. He's a retired gladiator. Let him go fucking retire to the countryside or whatever. I haven't seen Gladiator 2. I would assume that's probably a narrative involved. I don't know. I think Maximus in the first one wanted to go retire somewhere with his olives or his grapes, or I don't know. That's where we should leave Claudio Ranieri. Is just retired in the countryside, or wherever the hell he was. And by the way, what an impossible position for poor Claudio Ranieri. Like, anything that happens at this point. They lost the first game to Napoli, obviously. I mean, Conte ate them for lunch. But, or I should say Ranieri lost his first game, at the helm. But whatever happens at this point, Ranieri has good favor because he's taken over the club. And he'll be the custodian for the club while they get their ducks in a row, I guess. But it makes no sense. I mean, they're already paying Daniele De Rossi. They're already paying him. He's already on the payroll. They got, he has a contract valid with them that they terminated. So I would assume they had to pay him out. He's already on the payroll. He's already on the fucking payroll. Just keep him the fuck on as the coach. It's what the players want. The season will be what it'll be. Take a mulligan. Move on. But no. Instead, we're bringing back guys that are familiar, that are old, that we like, and we can say, all right, my grandfather's back. I feel at ease now. There's an adult in the room. I'm comforted by this old man's sweet dulcet tones and his his kind demeanor. It's very odd. It's very odd. Wonder how many lobotomized Italians from Facebook are still watching. What I do now is every time I post a pod, I post the links in a litany of Facebook groups that are that I guess used primarily by middle-aged Italian Americans who watch The View, I guess, or who really like Trump. Kind of both sides of the extreme, I guess. People that have had their brain fried, both sides of the equation, because that's who uses Facebook. That's who I'm trying to get clicks from now. I think they made it 25 minutes into me yelling about Francesco Totti. I mean, Christ, I'm not having a fucking great time this week just reading about Italian football news. A lot of piss and vinegar this week. Juve Milan was on the weekend, 0-0 draw. We don't even talk about individual games anymore, but I just want to I want to talk about this one because it was so bad. Juve Milan was on Saturday, like in the middle of the day, and I had soccer in the afternoon. I had 7v7 Sunday League, which is on Saturdays, but I had Bomber, which is the name of our club team. Società Sportiva Calcio Bomber, a Phoenix club. We've resurrected it after a couple years on, in the courts, trying to get our pro license back after running it for a couple years with my friends. So Nick Gianelletti's on the team. We're texting during the Juve Milan game, both from home. We're watching alone individually. And it's so bad. We're just like, I said, I'm just going to, if it ends like this, let's not fuck the game. Let's go to the field and let's just carry out a suicide pact. I'll bring my kitchen knives. You slit my throat, and let's just mutually choke each other out like fucking two hands until we both go down after watching that fucking game. I mean, yeah, no, the game we actually played was probably more entertaining than Juve Milan. My Sunday League has been really fucking entertaining so far. 2 weeks ago, I was in Toronto and I missed a game, and I got a text 15 minutes after kickoff. One of the guys on my team, whose little brother, who's a great player, who I'm not sure has a credit card. He's a young adult. I'm not sure he has a credit card, and I think he has never filed income tax, one of those, but he's a great footballer. Good kid, kind of. Whatever. You'll be the judge based on this story. I get a text 15 minutes after the game starts from one of my buddies who brings his friend and his little brother to the game as call-ups, and he goes, we got sent off. My brother and I, we're in the car now. We left. We both got reds. I go, what the fuck happened? He goes, well, Fonzo is his little brother. Fonzo rainbow flicked a guy. Guy pulled him to the ground. So Fonzo pulled him to the ground. And then one of them started swinging on the other. Unclear who it was. And then my friend who I'm texting, whose little brother's now, getting into a fight, tells me that he runs off the bench and Superman punches the guy who his brother is fighting. Then some guy from the other team jumps on my buddy's back. So we get sent. We have two guys sent off. They have two guys sent off. And apparently, I learned that the referee was Arab, and my friends were the friend in question was also Arab, obviously, and the ref who was Arab asked them both their names, and my buddy's little brother, who was a call-up, said Alex Hunter. Like the FIFA character, who the guy from the career mode or whatever the fuck, Alex Hunter. Because years ago we had an Alex Hunter jersey, and we would register any unaffiliated players as Alex Hunter if ever we needed a desperate call up. So this kid was like got this idea so baked into his head that he can't snitch, he's got to lie to authority at all times. He goes, my name's Alex Hunter. The guy's like, bro, what? Like you're fucking clearly Arab. What are you guys, brothers? And my buddy goes, yeah, we are. And he's like, yeah, well, what the fuck are you telling me you're Alex Hunter for? All right, you're good. You're good. We're not going to suspend you, he says. He goes, you guys are brothers? Yeah. All right, respect. Like, he was like, yeah, all right, you came to your brother's defense. You did the right thing. The fucking commissioner reached out to me the next week. He's like, I heard there was violence at the last game. I go, I don't know. I wasn't there, you know. Asked the referee about it. I think he didn't have a problem with it. He said it was all fine. He said it was all above board. One of the guys that was actually a call-up for our team that week was a black guy named Claude who speaks Italian. just, yeah. He played 30 seconds and had to go throw up because he ate 20 minutes before the game. He had brunch. Then he came to play. I was told he never played organized soccer in his life. I was told he plays in the park and he's very fit. 30 seconds after starting the game, he had to go throw up. Claude Udoge. Claude Adyapong. That's actually a real black guy named Claude who's Italian. Okay. Two things we have to get to here. Two important things. First of all, Giorgio Scalvini is back at Atalanta. Apparently he's in training and he's like almost ready to play. I think he even got called up to their match the other day on the bench, if I'm not mistaken. He tore his ACL 5 months ago. We did a whole podcast about it right before the Euro, talking about how catastrophic it was. And he's back 5 months after getting injured. And now everyone's saying that Atalanta are doping and I hope they are. I hope they are. If they are good, let's send Federico Chiesa to Atalanta. Then maybe, let's reinforce his knees. Gianluca Scamacca tore his ACL 3 months ago. He's back in training now. 3 months. In August, they were saying it was a season-ending injury. He could be back in 3 fucking months. He could be back in February, which is crazy. Like, it used to be that if you tore your ACL, you were out for a fucking year. Not anymore. Atalanta. Honestly, Atalanta right now have Zaniolo, Scamacca, and Scalvini. All of whom are, Italian national team players, kind of, or peripherally, at least, on the outside looking in. Then they've got, Retegui, who's kind of the starting center forward for Italy currently. Fuck it. Bring Federico Chiesa to Atalanta. I want him there right now. Whatever the fuck they're giving to Scalvini, whatever the fuck they're giving to Scamacca, I want Chiesa to have. I want him to play there on the wing, and if he gets injured, I want him. I actually hope that he gets injured. That way they could leave him in a cryo chamber for 2 months. Whatever the fuck they do, they mummify him, and I mean, just we should probably, honest to God, we should send the entire Italian national team there. There are rumors for a while. I think that when I was younger, I heard rumors that apparently Real Madrid had this crazy doping program. Likewise, Barcelona. Not really sure if it was both or one or the other. I think it might have been both. It was alleged that whoever was working on Rafa Nadal was also, working on Ronaldo and Ramos and the guys at Real Madrid. We need that. Honestly, if Del Piero becomes the FIGC president, we need an underground science program like the Nazis had. Okay? We need a Soviet era secret science program that only dictatorships typically create, and I'm including the United States there. The shit that the most malevolent, weird governments in history have run. Okay, that's what we need to try to mimic. Okay, we need to do something evil where there's a club that's the pet project for this sort of shit, so that we could avoid long-term layoffs for ACL injuries. I would really be into that, and then maybe then if more of our players were healthy, we wouldn't have to go try to poach talent from other countries. Like is rumored now in the case of Ryan Cherki of Lyon is eligible for Italy as the FIGC made contact with the French delegation. Now you might be seeing this story saying, what the fuck? Why is Ryan Cherki eligible to play for Italy? He doesn't sound Italian. He doesn't even look Italian. If you look at him, if you look at his pizza face, he looks like he's Algerian, and you'll be correct. He is. He's an Algerian guy from, I believe, Marseille. I could be wrong. I'll double check that. He's currently a U21 international for France. Let's read this article. Lyon and France U21 star Ryan Cherki. It sounds a little crazier when you say his name the way that he says it. Lyon and France U21 star Ryan Cherki is understood to be eligible to represent the Italy national team at senior level, and the Italian delegation have reportedly made contacts with their French counterparts in an attempt to get him to play for Luciano Spalletti rather than Didier Deschamps. The 21-year-old has earned 20 caps, which is a lot, for France's U21 side, scoring 12 goals in the process. He also scored twice and featured in every game during the Olympic Games in Paris over the summer. However, he is yet to receive a call-up to the senior France national team because, of course, the way it works is once you make a senior competitive appearance of any kind for a country, then you're cap-tied. You're locked in with them for life. Though only 21 years of age, Cherki is already an experienced head in Ligue 1. Having made his professional debut as a 16-year-old back in 2019, he has already made 152 appearances for Lyon's senior side, including 123 in the league. He is also Lyon's youngest ever goal scorer, having found the net at the age of 16 years and 140 days. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Cherki was born in France and is of Algerian descent. But according to Corriere dello Sport, he also has Italian heritage through his paternal grandmother who betrayed the Republic and procreated with a goat fucker. I'm kidding. His grandmother was a goat. His grandmother was an Italian goat. His Algerian grandfather fucked the Italian goat. I'm kidding. I'm sorry. I'm making myself laugh here. The grandparent in question is reportedly of Pulian origins. Oh, great. So the grandparent didn't even speak Italian. The grandparent spoke Barese. French outlet RMC claims that the Italian delegation took advantage of Italy U21's recent 2-2 draw with France, during which Cherki scored, to discuss the possibility of convincing him to play for the Azzurri with his representatives. Interesting. Kind of like Agent Ronaldo. Remember a few years ago, Ronaldo, I think, spoke to Matthijs de Ligt after an Ajax game, and a few months later he signed for Juventus. A similar thing going on where it's like, hey, we're playing these guys anyway. Let's negotiate a transfer here to our national team. Very interesting. Very interesting. Ryan Cherki. Now, here's the thing. If he's able to get a passport, I guess fine. The laws are the laws. This would be unprecedented. For a couple first of all, a guy switching from France to Italy. Now, again, I understand that most of you guys are hearing this story and you're all disgusted because you're all racist, and that's fine. I'm not even critiquing you for being racist and not wanting a guy named Ryan Cherki, who sounds like he is an old teammate of mine from a Hansik on my Laval AAA team. That's fine. It's fine that you may not want him to play for the Italian national team because it makes you feel gross and you feel you're more Italian than him, because I get it. It's a quantitative thing. This qualitative thing, this quality, being Italian or not, which is kind of binary, you're trying to quantify. I'm more Italian than him. I get it. I understand. The Italians abroad are really going to have a problem with this too, because they like to see people that look like them. Which, by the way, there has been a history of kind of poaching Italians from Argentina, which we kind of accept, just generally, because again, there's a history of doing it, and there's like a weird like cultural, not even weird. There's actually there's a kinship that's felt with Argentina in some ways, so it's not felt as weird. But there's this kind of this cool thing that goes on in Italy where the Italian team really still feels quite Italian. The names of the players are still rather Italian. We've been able to kind of build a team. What's great about Italy is footballers are coming from, Sant'Agata del Monte Cucuzzo. They come from insert little fucking town. That's where they come from typically. In France, as we discussed, I think 2 weeks ago, over half that team is from Paris. We don't really have that. The Italian national team setup doesn't have like one hub. There's a lot of guys from Rome, a lot of guys from Milan, a lot of guys from Naples, obviously in the greater areas, some in Turin, and so on and so forth. But there are a lot of guys from little towns. There are a lot of guys from little towns, probably more so. I guess more so than France, certainly. So we haven't really had to rely on, really we haven't, had to rely on the fact that we have, I guess, immigrants playing in, greater metropolitan areas like Milan, right? You have a bunch of immigrants there. We haven't really had to create a system whereby we use these kids, I guess, who are all in, say you're in an immigrant neighborhood in Milan. Say the school there has about, maybe half the kids there are immigrants, whatever, 2/3, whatever the fuck it is. Say it's one of those neighborhoods. You say, well, a lot of these guys are disaffected because their parents have to work like multiple jobs, they haven't gone to school yet, So let's try to create these outreach programs through football. That's what France has done, right? They've kind of relied on their immigrant communities through their colonial, which there are a lot of because of their colonial past and stuff. I think a lot of Italians tend to take pride on the fact that, the Italian national team doesn't have to rely on colonialism to, bring players through, I guess, in some ways. But here's the thing, it's not really relevant where the people's, where the people representing a given national team's parents are from, because the fact is they're from a country, meaning that they were raised there. And, if you replace those kids, of immigrants, say there was less immigration in France, you would assume that, there probably would have been a fucking kid in that same school that's part of the same program that maybe is a little more disaffected. Because here's the thing, class is not racial. Class is, it's not exclusively racial, right? It's a variable that goes into it because, people from certain areas tend to immigrate to other areas. And so then the immigrant communities become kind of one class. Well, other, communities that have been more established are another class. But there would have been just lower class French people who weren't, from French colonies who probably would have wound up becoming good footballers because that's kind of how football's always been played. It's always been like a working class game. But what a lot of people do now is they look at the French and they say, well, it's something to not emulate because they have all these, these kids of immigrants playing for the French national team. It's a thing that people feel. It's a thing that people tend to kind of point out regularly. And the reason I'm bringing this up is this guy is this isn't even like a France fucking, born and bred through and through guy. Like his name is Jean-Baptiste Simard, and his, mother was from Genova or something, and he chooses to represent Italy. That would feel a little easier, I think, to digest for a lot of these people, even though, he'd get shit. I think a lot of fans would probably rub it in, a lot of fans of Italy would kind of rub it in the French fans' faces a little bit and say, well, in your face, we got this guy off of you. He fucking chose us ahead of you. Fuck you. He's one of ours. Now, I feel like there's no world that exists where Ryan Cherki, I'm going to keep saying his name as properly as I can. It's very satisfying. There's no world where Ryan Cherki comes into the Italian national team setup and people feel comfortable about it. There's people that are probably not even happy that he played for France in France. You know what I'm saying? There's no way that it happens and everyone's happy about it where it's like, okay, this feels good. This feels right. The rule should be, I know there are rules for FIFA affiliation and based on your nationality and so on and so forth. The rule should actually be you could play for a national team if I hear the story and I am the arbiter of whether it's right or wrong. There was a guy 2 years ago named Gianluca Prestiani who's now playing for Benfica. He's Argentinian. There were rumors that we were going to poach him from Argentina, Retegui style. And we didn't wind up getting Prestiani, but he still hasn't fucking played for any senior side at international level. So it could still hypothetically happen. And if it does, I don't think anyone will be mad about it because it's just an easy, digestible thing. He's an Argentinian kid with a fucking Italian name. The problem is people are only able to digest it if you're off of what's traditionally Italian by 1 degree. So if you're Destiny Udoge, who's got African parents, but you're born in Italy, people can accept that now because they're like, okay, well, he's Italian. He's born in Italy. He speaks Italian. No problem. Matteo Retegui, doesn't really, he kind of speaks Italian now, but he didn't initially, but it's all right, he's from Argentina. He chose to represent us, He's talked about his grandmother being someone, who has had a lot of influence on him. It required very little convincing, apparently. But, for you to be like, for you to be, not a traditional, basically for you to not even have an Italian name, but then not even have like an Italian fucking, a clearly Italian like look to you. That's two variables. That's too much. That's 2 degrees. That's, you're off by 2 degrees. That's too much for a lot of people to stomach. And it won't stick because of it. But it's funny. A lot of people are spazzing because they're saying, well, listen, like, we should be giving opportunities to other young Italians, which is true. But it's like, hey, if the guy wants to die for the flag, do we let him? And, I say what you do is fuck it. Let's lobby to the sport tribunal in Switzerland and get them to overturn the rules. Let's get Karim Benzema to represent Italy too. Let's go all the way back in his fucking genealogy. I'm sure there's some guy who fucked someone in Libya at some point that maybe, I don't know, was cousins with someone that Benzema knew. Let's extend it. Let's extend it. Let's bring. Is Kylian Mbappe Italian? You know what I mean? Like, apparently there's a huge chunk of people in France that have like some kind of Italian lineage. Let me look this up. Italians in France. There's a number of them. 5.5 million French nationals are of Italian origin, according to this. It's a little under 10% of the French population. So, that should be like a personal rule. Honestly, kind of like the Basque rule at Athletic Bilbao, the Italian Football Federation should just have a policy whereby it doesn't naturalize any French people. Just on principle. Is that a good standing rule? Maybe. I think what's fun about this is also he has to be convinced to play for Italy. It's not like this is a thing he's known about. Does he even know his fucking grandmother? Does he even have anything? Is this just is this a play by his agent to get Deschamps to call him up quicker? Is that what this is? I think, you know what? I think that we should probably look to get him to play for us, and then we should play him for 1 minute, and then we should just never call him up again. We should never call him up again and send him back to France to live with it. You're the guy that sold out and played for Italy that one time and never again. We got to go João Pedro with him. Remember that one time João Pedro played against Macedonia in that World Cup playoff? I do think it's look, it does make us look kind of desperate, but I do like the desperation to an extent. It's like leave no stone unturned. It's also a bat signal you're throwing up to, hey, if anyone else wants to die for the flag, speak now. There is something satisfying about stealing another man's lunch, steal another man's, wife, steal another man's youth talent. Thank you. You raised him up. We will take him now, and we will make of him a star. I need a token of goodwill from Ryan Cherki. I need a token of goodwill. Where is he from? Is he from Marseille? If he's from Marseille, that might change everything. I think he might be. Ryan Cherki. He really looks. No, he's from Lyon. I mean, that's middle of the country. That's fucking right middle, smack dab in the middle of the country, dude. I'm not really into this whole thing, but it will be, the idea that he could play or represent France at the Olympic Games and then go on to represent Italy at the World Cup is very odd. Both Cherki's parents are of Algerian descent. His father, Fabrice, is also of Italian descent. Nothing more on the subject. Is it even true? Is it even true? It would be very typical of like an Algerian guy, based on the Algerian guys I know, to go, t'inquiète, je suis italien, moi. Ma grand-mère est italienne. Ma grand-mère est italienne. Prove it. T'inquiète. T'inquiète, frérot. My grandmother's Italian. Can I see documentation? No, don't worry about it. Trust me. Trust me, Habibi. Well, all right, folks, let's cap it there. I mean, just let's cap it there. It is what it is. I'm kind of, the verdict is out on this one. This is probably one of those stories that we'll never hear about again. But if it actually does wind up coming to fruition, I may have to come around on this and try to embrace this for what it is, which is an opportunity to big dick the French. An opportunity to big dick the French. The problem is, actually, this is a double opportunity. It's an opportunity to big dick the French, and it's an opportunity to upset Italians in Brooklyn who see his name and go, who the fuck is this guy? The funny thing is, there are people that'll hear his name. But yeah, Cherokee. Yeah, he sounds Italian. He sounds Italian. He's fucking Alessio Cerchi's Algerian cousin. Follow the pod, or follow me where I post pod clips at I'm Sam Adamo if you want, and toss a like on this thing. Leave a comment if you like the show, if you like the episode, if you're so inclined, and hit sub if you're new, if you made it to the end. This is all good. This is all good stuff. It all helps to boost the show and get it out to, get the good word out to more people, so I don't have to only post on Facebook to, fucking try to grow this thing. Let's try to get it to people that are my age. Let's try to get this thing out to racist Italian. If you have a racist Italian friend, send it to him. Send it to him. It'll be cathartic for him. Thank you. Goodbye.